What struck out for you? What really struck you as positive in the speech?
There was a ton that was positive in the speech, and I think you put quite well the tension between wanting to celebrate the good and being wary of the bad. Jobs was great, minimum wage was great, education was great. We could talk about all those, but the one that stood out most to me was the super emotional, super impactful gun moment, where he said Gabby Giffords deserves a vote, the victims of Newtown deserve a vote, the victims of Aurora deserve a vote.
We have that clip. Let's play that clip right now.
Because in the 2 months since Newtown, more than 1,000 birthdays, graduations, anniversaries have been stolen from our lives by a bullet from a gun. More than 1,000. One of those we lost was a young girl named Hadiya Pendleton. She was 15 years old. She loved fig Newtons and lip gloss. She was a majorette. She was so good to her friends, they all thought they were her best friend. Just 3 weeks ago, she was here in Washington with her classmates, performing for her country at my inauguration. And a week later, she was shot and killed in a Chicago park after school, just a mile away from my house. Hadiya's parents, Nate and Cleo, are in this chamber tonight, along with more than 24 Americans whose lives have been torn apart by gun violence. They deserve a vote. They deserve a vote. They deserve a vote. Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Newtown deserve a vote. The families of Aurora deserve a vote. The families of Oak Creek and Tucson and Blacksburg and the countless other communities ripped open by gun violence, they deserve a simple vote. They deserve a simple vote.
I mean, I've watched a bunch of State of Union addresses. I don't know how many, but that was one of the most impressive moments I've seen in a State of the Union address, particularly one that wasn't sort of rallying around some type of nationalism, some type of argument that we need to defeat our enemies. I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that.
Yeah, no, that was called oratory. One of my kind of private critiques of the inaugural was that there was a lot of great progressive policies and kind of a nice laundry list of stuff, but I didn't feel too emotionally stirred. Last night, I felt emotionally stirred watching that, and that's what oratory is supposed to do. Now, what I love about that strategically is, first of all, side note, if you watch John Boehner during that part, for some reason he happened to be standing when it began, and then Joe Biden is clapping and John Boehner doesn't clap, and then midway through that, John Boehner sits down, right? And I think that's actually symbolic of why that was so strategic. By asking for a vote, the president has managed to take something that is kind of a wonky, inside the Beltway process issue of, does the House Speaker put something on the floor for a vote? Does the minority leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, allow something to come to a vote as opposed to a filibuster? Right? It's hard to engage people around those issues. But by picking the highly emotional issue of guns and choosing to use that as our best foot forward in addressing this process issue, and my guess is he'll barnstorm around the country calling for a vote, which just sounds so reasonable in the context of these victims deserving their fair chance at having some reforms. This could be game-changing, right? If John Boehner, who is not representing his constituents back home on this issue, and the same with Mitch McConnell, if they are forced to cave on this issue and allow votes, and Democratic votes are allowed to combine with a few Republican votes to pass this stuff into law, that sets a precedent for every future policy fight, right? It finally allows, and it will allow the media to take credibly any time in the future that the president says, we need a vote on the minimum wage, we need a vote on this, because they will have seen with their own eyes the power of public pressure coupled with the emotional bully pulpit of the president, making Republicans cave. It just, to me, this could be a dream come true. So I'm really excited about his line of messaging, his ability to rouse people with that messaging, and I really hope that he takes that on the road. And groups like ours, I think, have an obligation to work with the president on this issue and make sure he's successful, because so much for our future issues are at stake in this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think making it about just the opportunity to vote was brilliant. I mean, I watched a clip of Rubio on CBS this morning, and he was asked that question, and he cannot answer it. There is no way to answer the question, why shouldn't this be given a vote? Because the only way they can answer it is to say, well, because I don't want to take a vote and vote no and have the public see that I'm against it. I mean, it's a brilliant, strategically, it was just a brilliant move. And yes, it was an incredibly moving moment during the speech. I completely concur with you on that.